Hello, everyone. This is Tikva from Homeopathy for Humanity, and we are joining you again today with our Organon from Samuel Hahnemann, and we are going to discuss Aphorisms 7 and 8, complete with the uber long footnotes. And over to you, Dr. Sandy Solanke from Central Maharashtra.
Hello, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Tikva. Thank you, Naomi. And Sandhya, to you also for attending this session. Today we will be discussing about I'm always talking, we are discussing the aphorism. I am not talking that I am teaching the aphorism. So the contribution of everyone is expected. Okay. Okay, aphorism 7. As we have seen in earlier aphorism, Hahnemann always talks about he talks about cure, he talks about physician's qualities. Then he's talk about how the physician should be unprejudiced, what he has to look into and disease, and what he need to see in the medicine also. And in this part, I think, in a sixth aphorism, here talk about what we have to see in the disease, a changed state, and that changed state should be observed unprejudicedly. That is the most important thing. Being unprejudiced is really, really difficult thing. We have to close our brain, close that box of knowledge, and look at the facts as they are. And people actually judge the environment, judge other things in the surroundings with the knowledge they have. And what, as a homeopath, we have to do? We have to close this box. We don't have to judge with things with our knowledge. Whatever knowledge we have of anatomy, physiology, medical science, pathology, or materia medica, just close that thing. Look at the facts, look at the modalities, look at the symptoms, look at the science. Take as they are. And here Hahnemann tells, just look at those changed things, only altered thing. We don't have to see the normal if somebody is having what we call behavioral symptoms. If they are changed due to the disease state, then only we can take. And in this aphorism, he specially talks about the word I could like to use. He has mentioned in the bracket, causa occasionalis. Causa occasionalis means exciting and maintaining cause.
For the occasional cause.
Yeah. In this single word, he includes the both exciting causes, those who excite the disease, and maintaining causes. Both have very important aspect in the disease state. In earlier aphorism, I think in aphorism number 5, we have seen he talks about causes of acute disease, exciting causes of acute disease. Why this is important? Because it helps physician to guide the chronic disease. Somebody asked the question in the group, can you explain this? How exciting causes of exciting causes of acute diseases help physician to guide to the chronic state. If you look at the state of disease, a chronic state, is a one factor, and Hahnemann has categorized acute diseases in the three different categories. One is epidemic, sporadic, and third one is individual. Individual is more important for us to understand these exciting causes, because this individual acute disease are limited to that individual, particular individual, which are caused by certain exciting causes, and these will be always in relation with the chronic diseases that particular individual has.
Hashtag, that's why we're looking at all those symptoms of lists of latent spora in the group.
Yeah.
Little flare-ups.
So this exciting cause and maintaining cause, this exciting has to be removed. He talks in this aphorism number 7. These, unless he told that removal of cause is removal of disease. So what are the causes he is talking about here is about exciting and maintaining cause. We already has, if exciting cause is removed, then person might not get that acute disease. Naomi, do you understand what I am trying to say?
Yeah, I think so. I was just wondering though, what about if there's like the miasm underlying these acute symptoms?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were just saying about how that's why we're looking at all those lists of acute and active spora in the chronic diseases, because we see that if people crop up with, let's say, worms,
you are at that age,
active.
and we all at that age that we can understand the state and development of the disease state. At least not about others I am talking, but at least the disease we are suffering from. We see that disease never just start and it remains for whole state. It will just come, then go again. Again, it will come back for be there for some time. Again, it will go back. It may need or may not need medicine that at that time. Okay, but it will frequently come again and again and again with exciting cause. Without exciting cause, it will not come. And after some days, we see that this disease symptom is remaining there more or less continuously. And in some symptoms, we might think now it's habitual. We might not even think that these are disease symptoms. A lot of symptoms are there like that. So exciting cause is very important, and another is maintaining cause. In exciting cause, this is only trigger. It will just push that underlying miasmatic ground, and where the person is sensitive, he will just pop up that symptoms in the acute form. For example, if somebody is having asthma, a chronic asthma, it is not like that person is continually having that spasm in their throat. and difficulty in breathing. But that acute attacks may trigger due to some dust or due to some molds from AC or some other thing. Tikwa, can you give some more examples?
Yeah, like a predisposition to having colds. You know, people who get
Exactly.
colds over and over and over and over again. I don't mean the person who catches a cold, you know, once every couple of years, but the people who are like chronically getting a cold, you know, like every month, every 6 weeks, every 2 months, then you know that there's an underlying problem. And then we want to give a remedy that offers, you know, that is like an antisporic that has the tendency for predisposition for colds in it. For example, britacarb or silica. So when people have colds over and over and over and over and over again, where it's a serious problem, then we can give medicine for that sporic tendency to colds.
Yeah. And
Example.
what Hahnemann is talking about, whatever cause, exciting cause or maintaining cause. Maintaining cause is that cause, the environment in which the patient is living.
Yeah,
Right.
like if you've got mold all over your house, you got to wash that mold away and get rid of that mold.
And he also mentioned circumstances, which has been mentioned in aphorism number 5.
See how all the aphorisms play together so nicely? You know, it's just really impossible to just learn one aphorism at a time and understand anything because they all run into each other just over and over and
Intermingle,
over again.
yeah, everything is intermingled in between together.
Mm-hmm.
So in aphorism 5, we see that all circumstances, and here Hahnemann is talking about those exciting cause which triggers the disease, and those maintaining cause which maintains the disease, the environment patient is living in, and the relationship he is having, whatever. The Hahnemann says everything, whatever cause is there, only the physician can perceive perceive these things in the disease form, only in the forms of signs and symptoms. There is no other way. So, if you know the cause, he says, just first duty of physician is to remove that cause. First, with that removal of cause, if you are removing in the footnote below, he has given very nice example. But we will just read this.
Are we
And we
now on
will,
aphorism 7?
yeah, aphorism 7.
Okay, because we've been talking about aphorism 6, we've been talking about aphorism 5. Are we on aphorism 7?
No. We are focused on aphorism 7, and whatever words we are encountering between this aphorism, I am trying to explain those with references of earlier aphorism.
Okay, silly me, silly me.
Are you sharing the screen?
Oh, you want me to share a screen? You told me we don't need a PDF.
Okay. But so if somebody is, can see, if you have aphorism.
Okay, but Sanjay, I asked you like 5 times 2 days ago, do you want a PDF?
I have a book. I don't know if anybody else is on.
I'm teasing him because I
Okay.
did prepare a PDF and he told me we don't need a PDF. And so I'm teasing him.
Okay.
Okay.
It's part of the program.
Okay.
Now, as in the disease, from which no manifest exciting and maintaining causa occasionalis,
Did it work,
has
guys?
to be removed.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Has to be removed.
You sure you can see it this time?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was worried. Okay.
We can
Continue.
pursue nothing but the morbid symptoms. It must. Where is that comma? Sorry, where is that bracket ends? It's in. Okay. It must be the symptoms alone by which disease demands and points the remedy suits to relieve it. Can you read that footnote? Footnote 3. Where he talks, exciting and maintaining cause has to be removed. And
first I
he explains.
Here, I have something here first about the morbid. About morbid, it means relating to characterizing by disease, pathology.
Yeah.
Kind of sums up everything. Some disease states are caused by something that needs to be changed in the person's life. Exciting causes that, and the maintaining causes are things that keep a disease state active. It maintains it, it keeps it going. And exciting causes are things that reactivate or increase a disease state. If these things are not a problem, we have to find the unusual and peculiar characteristic symptoms to solve a case. In aphorism 4, we remove the cause. In aphorism 5, we learn who our patient is. In aphorism 6, we find the changed state. In aphorism 7, we are reminded to remove causes and select unusual symptoms. Also, in aphorism 7, we are reminded that not one symptom is enough to solve a case. That means we need more than one symptom. So here is the footnote 1 to aphorism 7. Is that the one you want, Sanjay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that is the first footnote where he is related, exciting and maintaining cause has to be removed. And he's talk about that in this footnote. Can you read that? Hello? Hello, Tigwa?
Oh, you want me to read?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to read. Or that we were reading ourselves. It is not necessary to say that every intelligent physician would first remove this where it exists. The indisposition thereupon generally ceases spontaneously. He will remove from the room strong smelling flowers, which have a tendency to cause syncope, that means fainting, and hysterical sufferings. Extract from the cornea the foreign body that excites inflammation of the eye. Loosen the over-tight bandage on a wounded limb that threatens to cause mortification, and apply a more suitable one. Lay bare and put ligature on the wounded artery that produces fainting. Endeavor to promote the expulsion by vomiting of belladonna berries, etc., that may have been swallowed. Extract foreign substances that may have got into the orifices of the body, the nose, gullet, ears, urethra, rectum, vagina. Crush the vesical calculus, open the imperforate anus of the newborn, etc. So here he's telling us that we have to do things mechanically sometimes, that will be enough to remove a cause as opposed to something that needs to be treated. See, he says that if a certain flower makes people feel faint or hysterical, you just remove the flower. If somebody has something stuck in their eye, you want to get that thing stuck out of their eye. And if somebody has a bandage that's too tight and it's going to cause the limb to suffer, let's say you apply a tourniquet, then you're going to want to get to the surgeon to get that fixed up as soon as possible, because if you leave the tourniquet on too long, there can be death of the limb. And then we want to bandage things properly. And then he says to lay bare and put ligature on a wounded artery. A ligature is a tying off of an artery. And so he's saying that we have to sometimes have mechanical cause, mechanical solutions for the things that ail people. If somebody is like, splurting blood, we want to clamp that artery. And then let's say if somebody swallows poison, we're going to give them something to make them vomit. We're going to suck their stomach contents, right? So we want to use common sense here, that if there's foreign objects stuck in the body, if there's an injury to the body, if there is some kind of specific thing that affects one person, we want to just deal with those things in a very reasonable way instead of thinking that that needs medicine. So yeah, if somebody's gushing blood, we ligature that artery and we go to the surgeon. We might want to give arnica additionally, but we might want to give phosphorus too, or we might need to give hyperica, but we also need to take care of it in that way.
We'll continue further. We can perceive nothing but the morbid symptom. It must be the symptoms alone by which the disease demands and points to the remedy suits to relieve it. And moreover, totality of these, its symptoms of the outwardly reflected picture of internal essence of the disease, that is, of the affection of vital force, must be the principle and sole mean whereby the disease can make known what remedy is required. Means signs and symptoms which are produced from internal derangement of vital force should be the main and sole mean for selection of simillimum.
The signs and symptoms of disease is the outwardly seen picture of the internal disease.
Yeah.
In a disease that has no exciting cause or maintaining cause that needs removal, the symptoms, characteristic unusual symptoms, are the only guide for remedy selection. We take note of the person as a whole, not by parts. And with the remedy, the most symptom similarity, we begin the transformation to health. The whole person will show the internal disease state. We cannot separate the person into parts. We must look at the complete presentation.
And only the thing that can determine the choice of most appropriate remedy, and thus in word of totality of symptoms, must be the principle, indeed the only thing the physician has to take a note in every case of disease, and to remove by means of its art, in order that the disease shall be cured and transformed into the health. What does it say? The whole thing in your simple translation. Where is the footnote? Footnote 4. The word totality in footnote, second footnote. He's talking about the word totality of symptom. In all time, the old school physician, not knowing who else to give relief, has. Can you read that? It's taking to read.
In all times, the old school physicians, not knowing how else to give relief, have sought to combat and, if possible, to suppress by medicines here and there a single symptom from among a number of diseases, a one-sided procedure which, under the name of symptomatic treatment, has justly excited universal contempt, because by it not only was nothing gained, but much harm was inflicted. A single one of the symptoms present is no more the disease itself than a foot is the man himself. This procedure was so much the more reprehensible that such a single symptom was only treated by an antagonistic remedy. Therefore, only in an antiopathic and palliative manner, whereby, after a slight alleviation, it was subsequently only rendered all the worse. So we see here something that we see very, very common. Walk into the modern day pharmacy, and we have a lot of different things to suppress and palliate a single symptom, don't we? We could have some Tums, we could have some Benadryl, we could have some Bengay cream. We have just numerous, many, 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 many examples in our modern day pharmacy, just over the counter, ways to combat single symptoms and suppress them in order to give relief, not to cure, but to give relief.
Exactly. In this book, the book I have, he has just explained in short. Can you just remove that screen share so on big screen everybody can see?
We can try to do that.
It's difficult to read Naomi on phone.
I'm going to try to remove that. Okay, how do I stop screen share?
Above. View option.
Thank you. Stop screen share.
Yeah, stop screen share.
There we go.
Can you read this?
Which book is this?
This is...
Which one is it? No, a little higher. Arya. Okay. How do you say it in Hindi?
Arya.
Because we would call that Arya, as in lion.
Arya.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks
Here
like
he divided the whole explanation of this aphorism. First, causes, removal of causes, and he explain in footnote 3. And then footnote 4, he talks about suppression, removal of single symptom is suppression, and that will not cure. And symptomatic treatment, no guide to a total cure. And then totality of symptom. You can see, I don't know if
that's
it
good.
can
We can
be...
see that. Yes, we can. We can.
Yeah.
Bring back, there we go.
Last line, removal of symptoms is equal to cure, removal of... It's mirror image for me, so I cannot read.
It says cause, removal of the cause, footnote 3. Suppression, removal of a single symptom, read footnote 4. Equals symptomatic treatment, no guide for treatment. I'm not sure what no guide for treatment means there, other than...
It doesn't guide for treatment or chronic disease, treatment of chronic disease.
Because one symptom does not constitute the person.
Yeah.
And then it says totality of symptoms equals knowledge of diseases and indications for curative medicine. Removal of symptoms equals cure equals return to the original state of health. So when the symptoms are gone, the disease is gone. provided we have not given palliative treatment.
Exactly.
That would be
In
in
this
in a chronic, you can have a bunch of different returns of symptoms and a whole bunch of different rigmarole that happens. But let's say somebody has a simple flu.
That's why Hahnemann here he's telling us, understand the disease state, understand the original disease. First, you look at those maintaining causes.
And then we got the Jedi moves here where we learn about all those different things with the exceptions. All the exceptions to the things covered in the beginning of the Organon are covered in this book. And that's why we're reading that. Because, yeah, in a chronics, things are going to be like, they don't just go away. It's not, there's no unicorn in the chronic. You know, they teach in certain schools, you know, you've given one dose of calc carb and a 1M, and the person remains well forever, right?
It's impossible.
Way.
Because chronic disease will need series of remedies to bring out cure.
Over
Single
time.
remedy cannot cure the whole totality of chronic disease. And single symptom will also cannot represent the whole state of a person or wholeness in the disease. So for cure, you need totality of symptom, and on remedial part, you need series of remedies. Single remedy will not cure.
Unless the person's very, very young. Let's say somebody's old.
Most of people we see have that part. And shall we continue on 8th? I think very short aphorism, but in this book he has explained very big. I don't want to explain that much big.
What's he say in that book?
Oh. He has very big commentary on restoration of health. Very big. He talks about vitalism, then principles, vital principle in health, in disease, then in cure and recovery. First, we'll see aphorism number 8, how simple and how difficult it is. It is not conceivable, not can it be proved by any experience in the world, that after removal of all the symptoms of disease and of entire collection of perceptible phenomena, there should or could remain anything else beside health, or that the morbid alteration of interior could remain uneradicated. Can you explain in your words?
When the symptoms are removed, the disease is removed.
Yeah.
And then I have some definitions here. Perceptible phenomena. These are the things that we can see, hear, smell, taste, feel. I also define the word perceive, to become aware of through the senses and observation. And obviously I put in parentheses in the Organon, and in the chronic diseases, we learn the instructions for how to remove disease.
And what he has given a footnote for this also.
I didn't take the footnote.
Morbid alteration in the interior could remain uneradicated, For this, there is a footnote. When the patient has been cured of his disease by a true physician in such a manner that no trace of disease, no morbid symptom remain, and all the signs of health has been permanently returned, how can anyone, without offering an insult to and common sense, affirm in such an individual the whole bodily disease still remain in interior? Do you have this footnote?
We did not put this up as a footnote. We have failed, but I have it in my book.
Can you read that?
Yeah, you just read half of it, Sanjay. And yet the chief of the old school, Hofland, asserts this in the following words. Here we're quoting Hofland. Homeopathy can remove the symptoms, but the disease remains. This he maintains partly from mortification at the progress made by homeopathy to the benefit of mankind, partly because he still holds thoroughly material notions respecting disease, which he is still unable to regard as a state of being of the organism, wherein it is dynamically altered by the morbidly deranged vital force as an altered state of health, but he views the disease as something material, which after the cure is completed may still remain lurking in some corner in the interior of the body, in order that someday during the most vigorous exercise, the vigorous health, to burst forth at its pleasure with its material presence. So dreadful is still the blindness of the old pathology. No wonder that it could only produce a system of therapeutics which is solely occupied with scouring out the poor patient. So he's saying here that Hofland says that homeopathy is false, and Hahnemann postulates because he has material notions about disease and that he is mortified and embarrassed that homeopathy works so well. And then he talks about something very interesting. He says, no wonder that it could only produce a system of therapeutics which solely occupied with scouring out the poor patient. Back in the olden days when Hahnemann was a physician and when homeopathy was new on the ground, people used to scour out the patient, which is a very interesting term. They used to, bleed the patient, right? But they used to also scour them out, which means to give them emetics and things to make them have both vomiting and diarrhea. So they would take the blood from the patient, then they would give them vomitings and diarrhea. And that's called scouring out the patient. They are cleaning the intestinal tract. And they think that by cleaning the intestinal tract, that they are going to heal the patient. And that's why he mentions that about scouring out the poor patient. They used to give such violent and aggressive, quote unquote, treatments in order to remove the disease cause, which in modern medicine doesn't really make sense to us today, but the concept of palliation and palliating symptoms is very much with us today. But very few people, except for the people who recommend the high colonics and the intestinal cleanses, will be scouring out the patient, but not usually with the same type of method.
Anyone says when symptoms are removed, disease is removed. And the criticism Here we see homeopathy removes only symptoms, but the disease remains. So these are two terms, and one important word here is perceptible phenomena.
The perceptible phenomena. It's what we can understand, what we can see, what we can hear, what we can smell. That's
And
part of
one
what I
more,
don't like about working
one more
online.
important thing, phenomena itself is a proof. If something is happening, it doesn't need explanation. It's explanation of itself. So if we are or anyone is not able to explain that, it doesn't mean that it's not science or it's not scientific.
You know how you can go to the doctor and you get lab reports, and the lab reports can show normal parameters, yet the person might still not feel well?
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. They're saying if you go to allopath, unless it's a really good allopath, they're going to say, maybe we need to go see a psychologist. It's all in your head. Just because all the parameters are normal doesn't mean that the person's feeling well.
And that's why he talks about perceptible phenomena.
Because the perception of what people see, feel, hear, taste
An
is important in
experience.
homeopath. Yeah, very, very important. So if somebody comes to us
And
and they're
all symptoms,
well, we take
signs are the perceptible phenomena. These are individualized, these are from those sensation and functions of that individual body. So it cannot be generalized. It's not generalized. It's individualized. So, like some may show changes in the lab report, or some may not show changes in the lab reports. But the person may feel sick, and requirement, even the requirement of the body. Everybody body type is different. Everybody need is different. Even amount of blood we have in the body is not same. We four people are here, but we might not have same quantity of blood inside our body. That's just need of our individualized body. I may have 4 liters, or Tikva may have 5 liters, or Nomi may have 4.5 liters. It's just an individualized thing. Whatever is requirement of our own body, even the appetite is not same, and whatever you consume as a food is not same. If I am having that much energy with this much amount of food, Tikva might not have same with the same amount. So these things actually matters, how our own body functions, how it reacts, and how the internal vital force express in the form of sensation.
So I have a
Right?
question. I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you, from what you just said, so how do you determine if your patient, for example, if you should be giving him an LM1 or a 200 or a 30?
Okay. If you ask me, I have my perception. Okay, I will tell how I make those changes. See, for LM, there is one thing very clear, as it is higher dilution, it should be highly accurate on the prescription. whatever symptom you are going to prescribe should be precise. You cannot hit a big shot. You should be point, like a point, what you call pinpoint shot. LM is like that because it is highly dilution. So it need a accurate, peculiar characterized symptom of that remedy. If the patient is showing that symptom, then only LM will act. On random base, LM might not show result unless and until the person itself is sensitive for that particular remedy which you are prescribing.
But since Naomi is very careful to consult proving data with her prescriptions, she's going to be
Exactly. Yeah.
Point.
Yeah. That's why. And I begin my treatment with 30 potency. 30 potency is like that potency. If it's like that remedy has, suppose, thousands of symptoms. Huh? And we are prescribing a random 10, 20 or 25 symptoms. We are taking that. And we have only characteritis, one or two symptoms that is going towards that particular remedy. Other are just grade 3 or grade 3 or grade 4. So lower potency is that big shot, that bullet shot.
But then there's some of us who don't use that big cannonball.
Cannonball. Cannonball.
I'm not going to use that cannonball remedy. I'm not going to take 20, 30 seconds.
Lower potencies are that cannonball shot.
This and this. Yeah. And I know that my LM is going to be a sure shot.
Yeah.
Unless
and higher potencies are sure shot. And it needs to be a more accurate, more precise, and more, what you call, precise on that characteritis symptom of the remedy. Patient must be showing the characteritis symptom of the remedy. You cannot pick a third grade symptom or fourth grade symptom of that remedy, just random symptom. It should be peculiar, it should be characteritis. If the patient having that main presentation, then LM or higher potency can do well. Otherwise, best is cannonball shot. Then you will have collateral damages.
Yeah. What I thought, for example, like I learned a principle when I was, learning how to prescribe is you only take a symptom if you are 100% sure of it, if you would swear to it in a court of law. So when I take those symptoms, I know that they're in there. But
yeah,
what my understanding is if I'm using a 200 potency, it's in some way stronger. Like the LM is more like a laser beam, and
exactly.
And the 200 might like have a stronger punch to it. But how do I know? I mean, unless I know the patient pretty well, many people would rather just give an LM to because I know I'm going to cause I'm not going to cause harm. Hopefully.
No, LM is not going to cause a harm unless
you
and
can.
until
you can.
Yeah. But listen one thing. The patient's sensitivity actually matters. If he is sensitive more towards the remedy, because remember, LM itself is higher dilution. Cruder substance dilution and dynamization are two different things.
Wait, sorry, I didn't understand what you just said. You said
okay. Try to.
Point before. I just want to say that the correct selection of the remedy is more important than the selection of the potency in general.
For LM potency, there are 5 criteria for prescription. In our earlier lectures or video session, I have explained that those five are ones that LM should be highly precise, highly homeopathic prescription. You cannot give LM on partial simillimum.
Right.
One, then it should be given in liquid only.
Right.
You cannot give LM dry dose.
Right.
Nope.
Then then LM should have to be repeated multiple times. You cannot just give one dose and wait. It will not act.
Oh,
It
yes,
is
it
just
will.
It
Oh,
does.
will.
It does.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've given one dose of LM and that was it. That's
It
all
does.
it was needed. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Totally happens.
Yeah, that itself have criteria, but many people look at that cannonball shot. So probably their picking up of symptoms are not that precise. So if you are precise, then even single dose also can work. But if it is partial and second or third level symptoms, that might need one or two or three doses or four doses or five doses. But LM should be given in multiple repetitions. That's been mentioned already because Hahnemann already said he should able to prescribe remedy whenever the patient has need of remedy. But centesimal scale, you cannot repeat a dose uh, between certain time.
Yeah, well, if you do it with succussions in water, you can. I do it all the time.
Yeah, but still it has some limitation. LM does not have that limitations.
Chronic diseases, and we went through the dosing methods given in the chronic diseases. It is for sure that you can use olefaction or you can use water.
For sure. It's very strong.
Yeah, but you can do it. You can repeat it. Like, for example, I've been treating a case of autoimmune thyroid problem for probably the last 6 months. And due to location of the person, they've been taking a 30C every few months, which almost completely, removes all the symptoms, but it hasn't been enough medicine to fully, remove the whole disease, which is, taken 60 years for somebody to get. So I moved them to an LM3 and we're going to see what happens with a more regular dosing. But yeah, you can always redose. It depends. You just can't give medicine dry and redose.
Right.
Except for the very small things of sometimes you need a second dose of bryonia. Sometimes you need a second dose of belladonna. There's like 5 medicines that Hahnemann mentions that you might need to have the alternating action, that might need a second dose in order to have the best effect without discarding the medicine for having not worked. That's Ignatia, bryonia, which ones? Sometimes belladonna.
Sorry, remind me your question. I was with my, I'm trying to figure out why I'm with my patient also. What did you just ask?
Oh, I was just trying to make a list of those remedies. There's a small list of remedies that have a secondary action where before discarding the use of those remedies, you want to try a second dose if the first dose didn't seem effective. And that's like bryonia, sometimes belladonna, ignatia. What's the other one?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't think
Restox.
Yes, is it Restox?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, so Now, I repeat, in water, C scale whenever needed, just like how I do with LM, because frankly, in some places, it's very hard to get LM.
Mm.
You know, tell somebody who's sick with a fever that you're treating in somewhere in Canada, you know, to order their LM and tell them to wait 4 days, when instead they can go to their health food store and have their friend pick it up and drop it off at their house, you know, within an hour or two, right?
Okay, we have done with these aphorisms. Now we have very big aphorism of vital force.
Yeah. But that's for next
And
time.
that is for next. Yeah. So we are done with the session now. You can just close, stop recording.
Oh, we don't want to stop recording until we want to know if anybody has questions for you, Sanjay.
Yeah, you can ask.
May I ask one question?
Huh?
May I ask one question?
Yeah.
If we are talking about the 30, so we should give the dry dose or we should give the water dose? When the fifth edition, I read that key water dose should be give, but I'm confused. Mostly people are using the dry dose. And how many globules we should use?
Okay. See, one thing is very important to understand. Even if anyone is following fifth organon, there the difference is only that anyone haven't introduced LM potency in fifth organon, but he has introduced water dosing.
But no, water dosing is in the chronic diseases, and the fifth organon has olfaction and using alternating medicines. The alternation of medicines is in the footnote on dosing in the fifth organon. So example, if you need to give somebody, you know, calc carb, you're going to follow that with another remedy that will be that will follow nicely. And then you might go back to your calc carb and then go back to the other remedy. That's where you see the alteration. And that is what Boddinghausen is doing in Boddinghausen's lesser writings. You see these crazy prescriptions where he's giving a 200, he labels his things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he has the alteration of medicines. And this is actually fifth organon method. And I don't have that book here right now. I took it downstairs to read. So he's alternating medicines in a way that looks absolutely insane to anybody who's been to a modern homeopathic school, where basically they are taught fourth organon. Everybody nowadays is using fourth organon methods if they're not using sixth organon methods. But the chronic diseases, at the very last chapter, we have a beautiful video on it. We go through all the dosing options in water, olfaction, that Hahnemann gave us in the end of the chronic diseases before he put out the LM potency ranges. But people are generally doing the high dose dry, watch and wait, and they're using that Kentian idea that the substance matters, but not the quantity. So they say that it doesn't matter if you take 4 pellets or the whole tube, that it's all the same. But Hahnemann is extremely clear that we should only use medicine in water, or through olfaction, which would be in alcohol, or through rubbing on the skin, which would then again be in water. And if you're going to do rubbing of the skin, then you should alternate that with oral dosing, but always in water. So Hahnemann's latest methods are only in water, that the dry dose is inferior to the water dose. And you only want to use one poppy seed size pellet for a dilution of water of at least this quantity. And then you have to change the dynamization between doses. You can't let this sit static. Let's say you make a 30C in this. You can't have somebody drink this twice. You have to at least, at the very minimum, stir it very, very, very briskly between doses. So that's very, very problematic and causes a lot more accessory symptoms or proving symptoms to use dry dosing and to use repeat dosing, because the body accepts the water dose with the slight change in dynamization. Remember, it's not about dilution, it's about dynamization, the dynamic action. We're dynamic beings, right? People are dynamic. The medicine needs to be dynamic as well. And so we need to keep changing the dynamic action of the medicine to keep the body accepting it properly. Otherwise, we'll get proving symptoms and all those bad things that go along with it. Aggravations. We never want to have an aggravation in our patient if we can avoid it. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you so much. I got to check out. Thank you so much. I might type you a note in a moment.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Naomi.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Sir.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So don't repeat a dry dose. That's fourth organon.
Dry
But
dose
most of
is
the
fourth
people-
organon.
Yeah, but I have seen most of the doctors using the dry doses, or not that they are focused on the pills. Matlab, Dr. Hahnemann told that use the pills is the puppy size.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually talks about in sixth organon about LM potency.
And also in the chronic diseases.
Yeah, I read in the chronic diseases that there is a first is the mustard size, after that they change the puppy size. And 275, they are also focusing on the size of the globe. So why are doctors, what's the reason behind this?
Because doctors haven't read Organon, chronic disease, both books. That is an issue. Nobody follows the right track. Nobody actually. Everybody wants an easy spoon feed. Whatever I will teach.
This is the easy spoon feed here, written by Hahnemann. So easy. Experience has shown me, as it has no doubt also shown most of my followers, that it is most useful in diseases of any magnitude, not excepting the most acute, and still more in the half acute, and in the tedious and most tedious, to give the patient the powerful homeopathic pellet or pellets only in solution, and this solution in divided doses. In this way, we give the medicine dissolved in 7 to 20 tablespoons of water without any addition. in acute and very acute diseases every 6, 4, or 2 hours, where the danger is urgent, even every hour or every half hour, a tablespoon at a time. And he goes to say, in chronic disease, I found it best to give a dose, for example, a spoonful of a solution of the suitable medicine at least every 2 days. But since water spoils,
248.
no, we're in the chronic diseases.
Yeah, same has been written in 248.
That's right, it has. But
Yeah.
looking at the C scale here, the C scale says that we should succuss. And then when we need to make more medicine, we have to succuss it to the point that it has already been used before continuing. Let's see. So as long as there's no new symptoms, and then it says the slight change in the degree of dynamization is even effective if the bottle, which contains the solution of 1 or more pellets, is merely well shaken 5 or 6 times every time before taking it. And then if the medicine has already been used up, we have to shake it up until the point that it has been shaken. So if somebody's had 5 doses of medicine and shaken it 5 times each, that's 5 times 5, that's 25. So we need to go to 30 times before the next new bottle is used. And these are all very important pointers to for dosing that are most unknown, unfortunately. But that is before coming to LM. LM is later.
And one more thing we need to understand. Why we shouldn't repeat dry dose. We see everybody is giving dry dose and everybody is repeating dry dose. But Hahnemann says, don't repeat dry dose. Why?
Because of the aggravation. If we repeat the one is the aggravation, homeopathic aggravation chances is more.
And why aggravation will be there?
Because what means continue giving the primary action, increase, so then the primary action is going on higher level.
Exactly. That means vital force is not respond every dose similarly. It will be like strange action of vital force. So there will be an aggravation. And Hahnemann does not want aggravation during the phase of treatment. Because in first and second aphorism, he tells us about the cure. It should be gentle. And then how he can tell us in other aphorism that should we take an aggravation, complementary. There shouldn't be shouldn't be aggravation. So repeating of dry dose is not recommended. In 247, it tells it is impractical to repeat dry dose of same dynamization.
Right, because the good results that the first dose has achieved can be
second question, no, if we are using the suppose dry dose, so we haven't not the change the potency, no, or not the degree. Just like in the water we can stir, but then the dry dose we have no power to stir anything.
Right.
Dry dose, you cannot change that dynamization.
We cannot change the dynamization, but in the water dose we can change the degree of the dynamization.
Exactly.
Through succussions or very brisk stirring. And also we can change it by adding from 1 cup to the 2nd cup to the 3rd cup. We can use a multi-cup method. There's so many different options available to us.
Flushing method is called.
Right. Yeah, people call that
Yeah.
plus. And then the first dilution, second dilutions. And so there's lots more options available to us in water.
Okay, we will stop now, I think.
Yep, it's already
Thank you,
7.
sir.
It's already
Thank you,
8:30.
ma'am. Thank you,
Okay,
sir. Thank you,
thank
ma'am.
you for joining us. And I hope everybody
Good night.
will enjoy this recording when they listen to it.